Oh shit, 56, nice. Almost 56, sweet. I'm gonna go make some more money here. Yeah, until they stop us. Yeah, we got probably a good month or two, maybe, hopefully, before they... I don't know how long it's gonna take them to do anything. We will just have to wait and see. Probably there's more chests in here. Not sure what's going on with the chests. I wish people would loot these mobs, man. Loot the mobs, damn you. You're not gonna loot the mobs. God. This idiot's killing all these raptors they're not looting. I hate that shit, man. Of course. Not looting the mobs. Look at all these dead mobs. It's just people that are trying to level quick. Or their inventory is filled up and they don't want to take time to try to empty the inventory out. But I mean, it's just, you're killing mobs this fast? It's like, seriously? I need to get my mining up, man. Maybe we'll do some mining tonight. I just keep putting it off. We gotta get the mining up. Let me see what's wrong with this macro. Interesting if this works. Okay, well, so far it's working. Didn't work. Okay, that did not work. Hmm. Hey JR, what's up, man? How you doing, JR? Yeah, he's like 56, man. He's doing well. Hmm. Hey, Jonas, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Just gonna grind out some raptors, get some more leather, make some more money. Why not? Maybe do some macaronis. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of an error on that macro. The macro's pretty much working, but every once in a while I get this bizarre error, and I'm trying to figure out why that error is occurring. I don't like to have errors coming out of any of my macros, so. Well, I just spent 3 more golds, although I don't know what I did with the shield that I bought. So I was up around 5 or 6 golds, and I bought a shield. I was going to buy a shield for 1 gold, and when I went to buy it, someone else bought it, so then I had to get the next version of that shield, which was 2 gold. And that's a shield I should be able to use at next level. And then I bought these bracers, because my bracers were total garbage, and I think that was it. I just bought a shield and some bracers. So that knocked me down a little bit, so I'm at 5 gold currently. But we'll make some go. I've got so much leather. Like, I've got a shit ton of leather. I don't know. I don't think I'll probably sell. I'll probably just vendor the leather, to be honest. Probably just better to vendor it. That's the error I'm getting. Attempt to concatenate a function value. It's going to drive me nuts. I do not like getting errors in my macros. We just try to make some more money. If we can get up to like maybe, I don't know, get up to like 15 or 20 gold or something. We will. Trying to see if I can replicate that macro error, but it looks like it's trying to run the clear macro errors is throwing the error. So I think we're good. Nope, there it is. Attempt to concatenate a function value. Huh. And there it is again. What is it? Seal of what? To make a homemade PS1 game. Alright. Seal of Wisdom? I never use Seal of Wisdom. Like, I never even use Seal of Wisdom, hardly. Like, I rarely, and I've played thousands of hours on Paladin and Vanilla. The only time I ever really use Seal of Wisdom is if I'm in a dungeon and I just want to prevent myself from having to maybe drink at the end of certain fights. You know, I just don't use it. It's like, I just don't use Seal of Wisdom. Because I rotate between Seal of Righteousness and Seal of Light, and then with Blessing of Wisdom, that pretty much does most of my mana regen for me. Let me, I'm getting a bit of a headache. Let me turn this music way down. I don't know why I'm getting that particular macro error, though. It's going to drive me nuts. Let me try... What happens if I don't end all of these? I've never understood why it needs to end every individual. Let's try this. No, I have not played Diablo on the PS1, no. Okay, well, that doesn't work. Castlevania and expected. Okay, so it definitely needs the end statements. Attempt to concatenate a function. Would I try Diablo 1? I mean, I played Diablo 1 a long time ago. I wouldn't play it now because it's too dated. I don't like to play games once they get too old. I can't play games that are like really dated. Diablo 1 was fun when it came out, but if I played it now, I wouldn't really like it. Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good point, Drizzy. But it doesn't really feel dated. That's a great point, Drizzy. But like Diablo 1, I mean, like WoW's still not dated because it still has the full 3D camera. And what I mean by Diablo being dated is that, back then it was okay to play like an isometric click to move game because I don't think I'd really played a lot of games that were, you know what I mean, that were fantasy with fully 3D camera. So now that I'm used to playing this style of game with a full 3D camera, I guess I should have been more specific. I just don't like playing isometric click to move games. So that's why I hate AARPGs. I can't stand them. Plus, I don't like the mechanics of just killing wave and waves and waves of mobs with, you know what I mean? Yeah. Why is it giving? It's driving me nuts that macro's throwing that error message. It is literally driving me insane. Oh well, I guess I shouldn't worry about it. I mean, the macro's obviously working. It's doing what I want it to do. It's just throwing this message. Oh well. Yeah, it's definitely different. Like whenever you level like 1 to 60, it's never the same, right? It's always a little different. Like the groups you run with, the dungeons you run with. I mean, you may wipe on this dungeon, you may wipe on that dungeon. And of course, if you play like hardcore WoW, there's just so many different variables, right? And yet it's still like so many more variables could be added to the game. Like the MMO genre as it is right now is so stale and so lackluster. WoW is a very dated game, to be honest, but it is still a really good game. but it could be improved dramatically if we wanted to, right? The problem is most developers don't want to improve the AI. To me, one of the biggest areas for improvement for an MMO would be the, any enemy NPC artificial intelligence. Just making the enemies a lot more intelligent, making them have more variety, more random elements to them that can make every combat a little bit more unique. But most game manufacturers don't want to take the time to, they're just happy doing the status quo because, oh, well, this worked in the past, we'll just keep doing that. Whatever's easy. Yeah, and I've said it before, but the biggest reason MMOs have not progressed, have not really evolved, is really the MMO players themselves. Because the MMO players, even though they complain all the time, which we all do complain as MMO players, right? We still most of the time go in and pay to try these new MMOs out, even though they totally suck, and even though we know they're probably going to suck, we try them anyway because of the hopium, because we want them to be good. And so it doesn't take a lot for a company, if everybody buys the game, and if a lot of people buy the game, and if there's a lot of cash shop stuff, and people go in and spend a lot of money in the cash shop, the video game manufacturer can recoup their money pretty quickly. But they can also lose money pretty quickly too, but there's plenty of games out there like Lost Ark, that were pay to win games that really didn't. I don't want to say it didn't last that long. I'm sure it's still available, but in the U.S. it flopped fairly quickly, right? Once people realized how pay to win it was, they pretty much went away from the game. Games like Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty had a lot of people were excited about it, but it just wasn't that good. So it kind of fell off rather quickly. Well, it was not just that, it was pay to win. I mean, I played Lost Ark and I hate click-to-move isometric games, but even so, I played it just because the graphics actually were really nice. There's a lot of things about Lost Ark I didn't like, but the biggest thing that made me stop playing Lost Ark was the pay to win aspect. You couldn't just go out and pick herbs all day long. Like there was a limit to energy, just like in Arcade, the original Arcade, where you could only pick so many herbs. Where you're like, well, can't pick any more herbs unless you go to the cash shop and buy this potion, and then you can pick more herbs. It's total pay to win. It's like very egregious, pay to win, So. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either because AI doesn't cost as much money. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to pump a bunch of stuff into a bunch of props into AI and have it generate a bunch of stuff. And the thing is, it's going to get to the point where the AI is going to generate better quality work than what a lot of developers are going to be able to put out. At least time-wise, right? In the amount of time, like the developers could probably put out better quality work, but it would take them so much longer to do it. It's just like music, the music industry. Pretty soon we're not going to really have recording artists much anymore. Most of the music that people listen to, even that the people buy, is going to probably, even if they don't, they might not even buy it, but it's going to start being AI music. We're going to see a lot more AI music being listened to than like recorded music, or artists created music. The days of Nirvana and Soundgarden and these bands coming out of nowhere and being huge and people paying tons and tons of money to go see them in concert. That age is over. guess I need to get some mana. Yeah, what the Elon wasn't it Elon Musk who did the Neuralink? It's just a matter of time. I mean, you watch stuff like, what was that? You remember what was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars? Total Recall. Remember there was the new Total Recall, and in the the remake, in the remake of Total Recall, that Irish actor or whatever, he had the cell phone was in his hand. It was like this little plastic insert that had been surgically implanted inside his hand. So when he called people, he just like talked to his hand, which I thought was actually, one day we're going to have that, right? We'll have that, right? I've always kind of joked said that we probably are going to have like chips or something implanted in our hands so that we don't, credit cards will be gone, and we're not going to be paying with cash or credit cards. We'll just swipe our hand, Or who knows? Maybe we'll have eyewear. I don't know. Things are going to be a lot different in about 50 years, right? It's going to be a lot different. What's up, Kenny? How you doing? Yeah, we could have... Yeah, I'm saying, who knows where it's going to go? It's going to be crazy. It did. My internet died like 3 times today, and I was really worried because it was weird. My monitors were going black. Like I'd be streaming, and both my monitors would go black. They would just go off, and then when they came back on, like a couple seconds later, my internet would be down. It was really bizarre, and I thought, "Holy shit, what's going on?" And it did that 3 times, and then my wife called me and said, because my wife was with her mother at the time, called me and said she'd got a text from my internet provider saying that they were aware there was a power issue in the area and they were working on it. So, yeah, we were definitely, like, I lived through the entire video game era. I lived through Pong, ColecoVision, and television. I lived through the good old amber CRT screens, the green CRT screens, um, all the way through the Atari 2600, into the Commodore 64, which I owned a Commodore 64. My first programs I ever wrote was on my Commodore 64 with the extended memory chip. Yeah, I did, but I didn't play EverQuest. I didn't play EverQuest. I was playing something else at the time, I think. That's right, but giggles. I was a second generation internet beta tester. I didn't see the Crusades. That would have been interesting. I'm not that old. Well, yeah, I lived through the time where we went to the arcades, man. Like you went to the mall, went to Aladdin's Castle. For if you guys have never lived through the day when you actually would go to Aladdin's Castle and get like put like $5 in the machine to get, or like $10 in the machine to get $10 worth of Aladdin's Castle coins, you haven't really lived if you haven't been to Aladdin's Castle. Wow, 6 years in Quincy, Illinois. I'm from Illinois, so
What's up, gang? I am
awesome that they still had Aladdin's Castle 6 years ago in Quincy, Illinois. Check that out. Of course, the one I went to didn't look like this. This one looks so bad though because there's hardly any games. Like there's a lot of these. See, like the Lance Castle, the original ones didn't have all these stupid games where you got the stupid toys or the balls, this kind of crap. They didn't have that. It was straight up just games, like video games, like real video games. Like fucking Sinister's Hollow and Galaxian and Galaga and Joust and the shit, man. Like Wizard of War, man. How many of you guys have ever played fucking Wizard of War, dude? Wizard of War. Classic.
Insert toy.
Right here, baby.
Insert toy.
Yeah, Wizard of War, baby.
I know that. Ha 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 ha. I know that.
Dude, that was the shit back in the day. I'm not even kidding, man. You know how many quarters I put in Wizard of War? I was published in a magazine. My high score was published in a magazine. There was like one of these Byte magazines or one of those old game magazines. I think it was Byte magazine. And you could like send in your high score. You had to send in like I don't know if it was, I can't remember if we did it was like a picture. You had to have some sort of way to validate that you had the high score. I can't remember how. I think it was just a picture. Of course, back in those days, it was like a fucking Polaroid, right? But yeah, my high score was in the back of a fucking magazine because I had like the highest published score on Wizard of War. And of course, that's just whoever sent it in. I'm sure there were a lot of people who had higher scores than me, but they didn't take the time to submit them to the magazine. You know what I mean? I could play Joust. Remember the Joust game? I could play Joust for like 2 hours on one quarter. My longest one was Discotron, the stand-up version of Discotron. I could play that for 3 hours on one quarter. That was my record. Actually, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes. Was my record on one fucking quarter. That was Discotron. Great game, by the way. It was this one, and it was the stand-up version though, because there's different. Well, there was one that had to like encase you, like you stood in it. Like this here, where it's like encases you, and it was like had all the blue lights, the black light. Here it is. This is it right here. This was it. You like got inside this in the game, and so it had all these like black lights. So it was just it kind of immersed you because of that, We can see all the black. Look at the black lights. See how it's like lighting up the controller and the screen and shit. And then there was Joust, right? Like Joust. I could play that for about 2 hours. But I was nowhere near the best at Joust. There was a lot of people that were really good at Joust, man. Joust was a classic, right? I would just go into like an arcade and I would just hear this sound. I would like hear the sound of Joust, and it just like had so many memories, like just this sound. The sound of the little buzzards or whatever they are, and their wings flapping, ding, ding, bouncing off the. Yep, those are the days that I lived in. Right. Well, you know what I mean. Ah, the good old days. If you ever remember the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. That was back during those days, man. Your dad's favorite is Pac-Man and Galaga. I was good at Galaga. I was pretty good at Galaga. I wasn't great at Pac-Man because I didn't really like Pac-Man that much because there were a lot of other games that I thought were a lot better than Pac-Man. You know what I mean? You can try to guess my age. Probably shouldn't be too difficult after I told you all the games that I grew up playing, right? No, you're not even. No, Kenny. No, think about it. Like the arcades were like for example, when did Joust come out? When did like the stand-up game arcade Joust game? So when did that come out? Joust arcade game release date. So it came out in '82. So I was playing Joust in the arcades when I was like I was like, think about it, I was like around 15, or I guess I was even younger. So think about it. This game, I was playing this game when it was in the arcade, probably around the year it was released or the year after. So I thought I was in high school, but I guess it was even before then. So I was born in 1970. So when Joust came out in 82, I was 12 years old, right? I was 12 years old. So, and then Defender came out in 81. I mean, all the really good coin-op games. I mean, they were like Robotron was a great game. Stargate was a fucking phenomenal, arcade game. I mean, at least back then it was. One of my favorite ones that a lot of people don't know was Satan's Hollow, though. But Stargate, coin-op, arcade game. Stargate was cool. Of course, awesome sound effects, right? But nothing can beat the sound effects of Sinistar. Sinistar is the shit. So when you think of like evil, when you think of like enemies, like evil enemies in video games, Sinistar has to take the cake as the first best evil character in a video game.
I am Sinistar. Beware, I live. Run, run, run. Beware, coward. Run, beware, I live. I hunger.
So in Sinistar, you'd be flying around doing your shit. So what happens is Sinistar, like after a certain amount of time in the game, he lives and he comes after you, and he's scary as shit. Like the first time you play that game, like, and you're playing, you're just like, just flying around, you're shooting these little clouds and you're gathering these little pieces, right? And they purposely have the game volume cranked like to insane levels, right? So you're playing the game and it's like really loud, just like this. And it has these really super loud sound effects.
Beware, I
And that's how, and I mean, it's like that loud, but in the arcade, like it shakes, like the video game's shaking, and you're like sitting there, and all of a sudden he flies across the screen, and he's like, run, run, and you're like fucking, it scares the shit out of you.
live.
Look, he just comes, he's like, raw, and he comes flying across the corner of the screen there, and it scares the shit out of you, dude.
Beware, coward.
Look there, as he comes flying and he kills you. Look, he just comes in, he just kills you, like, boom, one shot. Check this out.
Beware, I live.
It is the scariest fucking enemy of any video game. Dude, it scares the shit out of you. Like, and so the first time I experienced Sinistar, it was even worse because I was at Six Flags in St. Louis. And when you went to the theme parks, when we went to like a theme park like back in the day, like Six Flags of America was a massive theme park. So their arcades were huge. Like their arcade at Six Flags was massive. When you went into Six Flags of America theme park in St. Louis, they had 6 or 7 or 8 Sinistars in a row. Like in a fucking row. And of course, everybody's playing them, right? Because they were super popular. So you're just walking down this aisle and all you hear is, roar, roar, beware I live. And you're just like, what the fuck, you know? And the first time you play the game, you have no idea what's going to happen. You don't know what's going on. You're like, oh, Sinistar, okay, cool game. It looks kind of like Galaga, maybe mixed with like asteroids, you know? So you put it in a corner and you start playing and you're like, what am I doing here? And I'm shooting these little clouds and these guys are coming out. And all of a sudden he's like, beware I live. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And then he comes flying across the side of the screen. He's like, roar! And you're like, what the fuck? It scares the shit out of you. But definitely was the scariest enemy of any video game I had ever played. You know, like just scared the shit out of you. And when he comes on the screen, he'll kill you, like he did in that video clip. He just flies in, and you just boom, you're dead. You're like, what just happened? And like he'll kill you like 2 or 3 times in a row, and you'll be like shell shocked. You'll be standing in front of the video game, like just shell shocked. You're like your hands will be shaking. And you'll be like, do I dare put another quarter in this game? You know? Because it's going to just kick my ass again? Those were the days, man. But there were so many good video games, you know, coin-op games. You know, Killer Instinct. I mean, there were like games like Killer Instinct, and they were a little bit later, like Tekken. You know, Killer Instinct. If you ever played like Mortal Kombat, you know, but Killer Instinct kind of came along near the end of the whole video game. You know. I always played Orchid. I liked Orchid. Here. Anyway, this is not the coin-op version. This isn't the stand-up version. This is here. This is. No, that's not really it either. There's so many different versions of the game on different consoles. These aren't the stand-up arcade. This one is, I think. Yeah, this looks like the actual arcade game. Yeah, this is the actual stand-up arcade game.
Awesome victory.
What a surprise I played Orchid, right? Your little cousin gave you their collection when they outgrew it. Oh, you got to go to bed, Jonas. I'll see you later, man. Have a good one. But yeah, the Orchid had this fatality where she would just unzip her top and show the boobs and. Here.
Awesome victory.
Yeah, but that was a good game. And then what other good games? Like the one game that kind of broke the arcades was really Dragon's Lair. Like when Dragon's Lair first hit the arcades, like the coin ops, that was a big deal because that was the first time anyone saw like graphics like that because it was a Laserdisc. So Dragon's Lair was like, I mean, it had a group of people around it, right? Everybody was like looking at it and watching it and wanting to play it, and it's like, oh my god, Dragon's Lair, you know, arcade. So.
Okay.
And it was so silly because all you had to do is the game would just be playing like a video basically, and it would present you with options, and you had to choose the right option at the right time. But it was like you didn't have much time to pick. Like you had to hit the joystick to the right to choose this, but you only have such a very small amount of window that you can do it. Anyways, so Dragon's Lair was, now when we look at it, it looks almost stupid, but back then it was very revolutionary. You know what I mean? Because the graphics were just so good. I mean, when you went from graphics like, you know, Killer Instinct to that. But the other game that I played a ton that I was really good at, that most people, that it was like a Galaga style game, was Satan's Hollow. And it was one of those games that was not as well known, but I loved this game. So you actually had to fight Satan. So you would build a bridge across the across the river Styx probably, and then once you build the bridge, you'd cross the bridge onto a bonus screen where you would actually fight Satan. But it was really hard. It was way more difficult than like Galaga. So like, if you ever played Galaga or Galaxian, like Satan's Hollow is kind of a similar game to that, but the difficulty was much, much, much higher. Yeah, the 4-player game, that was Gauntlet. Gauntlet was super fun and super popular, and like on Gauntlet, like you usually had to wait in line to play it. You had to put your quarters up on the screen. You know, like there was a big a line of people waiting to play Gauntlet. It was so popular. Yeah, because I played Gauntlet, and you know, warrior needs food badly. You know, and it was yeah, super good game. But yeah, you typically it was so many people. But I would say that was one of the most popular games. I'm trying to think what were like. I mean, obviously Killer Instinct when it first hit. Tekken was really popular. Tekken was super cool. I don't remember the T-Mac game. I'm not sure what that was. Sit down and you mean like you talking about the tank game? If you're talking about the tank game, there was a tank game. I never really played it a lot. I was really good at, because my parents were divorced, so like my dad would come and, you know, my parents were divorced when I was pretty young. So my dad, what he would do is, you know, he'd come over to visit me every weekend. You know, he was a pretty good dad. You know, I live with my mom, right? But he would come over almost every weekend, and he would say, "What do you want to do?" And of course, I was like a 10-year-old kid. What does a 10-year-old kid in 1980 want to do? He wants to go to frickin' Aladdin's castle. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go to the arcade. So my dad would take me to the arcade like every weekend, and he'd just give me like $10 or $15, which back then was a lot of money, right?
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
And I would just play, and he liked games too. So my dad really
kiss your ass goodbye.
My dad really liked
you can kiss your ass goodbye.
Really liked video games too. So yeah, we go to the arcade.
You can kiss your ass goodbye.
Well, thanks, man. So we would go to the arcade, and so I got really good at like lots of games. Like I said, I was really good at Dig Dug. I was good at Centipede. I was good at Joust. I was good at Discotron. You know, I was good at a lot of games. But I mean, the games I was like super good at was Wizard of War, Discotron, and Joust. Those games I was like, you know, I pretty much would be the top scorer on those games in most arcades. You know, there were people that were better than me, but Discotron, I don't think so. I don't think I ever saw anybody at Discotron that was better than me, because like I said, I could put a quarter in and play for like 2 hours. I think 2 hours and 45 minutes was my longest I ever played on one quarter. And that there weren't too many people that could beat that. Yeah, he did. And then remember, I messaged him on his Discord and said, and I called him like, I said, don't you have any self-respect to sit there and take down your videos and then to like go and start streaming a WoW anniversary? And then he totally went off. Did you see that? He like totally freaked out on me, like totally like wigged out on me. I mean, I was pretty mean, but I wasn't really trying to be super mean. I said to this douchebag, I said, how the fuck can you go back and stream a Blizzard server with a straight face? Pathetic. Where is your integrity? Where is your self-respect? Because he basically had taken all his Turtle WoW videos down, and but then he was going and streaming like an anniversary, like a Blizzard anniversary server. I'm like, they're the ones who took down. They're the ones who were like suing Turtle WoW. And I don't know. I mean, he just spent like hours and hours playing Turtle WoW, right? And so I said, how the fuck can you go back and stream Blizzard servers with a straight face? I said, where's your integrity? Where's your self-respect? And then he just freaked out on me. He was like, not sure if you're retarded or dumb as shit, but I literally stream at Turtle WoW right now, laughing my ass off. Also, fuck off. Let me play what I want. You play what you want. Get the fuck out. Laughing my ass off. Blocked. I'm like, like what the fuck? Yeah, that's why I had my title. So he like freaked out on me. I was like, dude, chill. I'm just saying, I can't believe you would actually give Blizzard the time of day. I mean, Blizzard's so fucking greedy, right? You know what I mean? Why would they add Shagu? Did they really add Shagu? was he actually in there? Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, what is Shagu? I saw the post that Shagu said that he wasn't going to be doing anything for. Here's the thing: Blizzard's doing the shock and awe. They're doing shock and awe tactics. They're trying to scare everybody away, and it's working. Tons of streamers and content creators for Turtle WoW are going and hiding in the. They're going and running and hiding in the woods. You know, Shagu's already saying he's not going to do anything else, right? Oh, yeah, all he did was make it. They can't go after Shagu. What the fuck are they going to do to him? So he made a couple add-ons? You can't go after an add-on maker, I don't think. I mean, well, the only thing they can do there, here's the only thing they can do with that is basically just ban you, right? They can just, you know, because you broke because in the terms of service, if you play a client, a Blizzard, like a World of Warcraft client that isn't an official client, you're technically breaking the terms of service that you agreed to. So it gives them the right to permanently ban you permanently ban your WoW account, right? So they can permanently ban your WoW account. Yeah, I know. But yeah, Val's put it in our Discord. I actually read it already earlier, but yeah, Val's put that in the Discord on Turtle WoW here. Let's see. It was right here. And this was from, I guess, a couple days ago. I've never worked for Turtle WoW and was never put part of their team. I didn't know that they had mentioned Shagu, but again, it's just the scare tactics. What Blizzard is doing is so, you know, I get that it's their intellectual property, but like Turtle WoW's existed for a long time. And the only reason Turtle WoW exists is because you have failed to listen to your community, and you failed to deliver a quality product, you know, because you're too greedy. It's not because you can't do it. Although maybe it is because maybe you are too maybe you're too stupid or too incompetent to put out a quality product. But it just comes down to greed. I mean, let's face it. Blizzard has made so much money, millions and millions and millions, if not billions of dollars with World of Warcraft, probably billions. So for them to sit here and to dox the Turtle WoW team, I mean, it's their own stupidity that put them in this place. It's just sad. You know what I mean? It's just sad. It's just sad. And it put me in a bad mood. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was in a really bad mood after I found out that they were suing Turtle WoW. It put me in a bad mood. And one of the reasons I kind of got on, one of the reasons I kind of got on Solheim was partially because I was mad at Blizzard. So I probably should, so if Solheim ever sees this, dude, I wasn't really mad at you. I was just taking out my frustration on what Blizzard's doing by saying, how the fuck can you, someone who seems to love Turtle WoW, give them any credit? Like, go and like stream their stuff. Now, anybody might look at my YouTube channel and say, well, yeah, but Cav, you've streamed tons and tons of World of Warcraft, like a shit ton. In fact, that's most of the stuff I have streamed. Yeah, but I don't do that anymore. I don't stream it anymore. I gave up streaming WoW, or like Classic, pretty recently. You know what I mean? Because I'm fed up with them. I'm done playing retail WoW and any version of retail WoW. I'm done. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Solheim, but he definitely kind of freaked out on me, which is fine. Whatever, I do whatever he wants. I just think it's kind of disingenuous to go on to like take all your videos down for Turtle WoW, then immediately go and start streaming Anniversary WoW and talk about how Anniversary WoW is so cool and I'm so excited for this. I'm like, if you were really excited for Anniversary WoW, why were you playing Turtle WoW? One of the biggest reasons I played World of Warcraft over the past 5 years is just because there hasn't been something else that's better. It's not because I really wanted to play WoW. Like I've been bored with World of Warcraft for a long time, right? I just play it because there's nothing else better. There's plenty of games that are good for a short amount of time, but I get bored of them very quickly. Usually they have they have like incomplete systems, really poor balancing, or the player base is too small, or the game's pay to win. There's always some major issue with the game, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's what he's after. But what Blizzard is doing in their law, again, it's rich people trying to get richer. It's the whole entire problem with our world, with our the entire problem with planet Earth is there's a bunch of really, really rich people who just want to keep getting richer. And they don't care who they step on to get there. And that's what they're doing. They're stepping on Turtle WoW because they just want to make more money. They want to come out with their own Classic Plus, and Turtle WoW is a direct competitor, and they don't want the competition. That's probably, I'm like 90% sure, and I think we all are pretty much 90% sure, that's why they're doing it now. Turtle WoW's been around for 8 years. They've had a lot of people playing Turtle WoW for a very long time now. For the past 3 years, Turtle WoW's been very popular. So, I think the reason that they're doing it now is because they're getting ready to release their own Classic Plus, which is why they shut down Season of Discovery. Right? Because they don't need Season of Discovery anymore. Season of Discovery, by their own admission, was a testing ground for the creation of Classic Plus. They said that already. They already said that's what it was for. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so I was pretty bummed because I think Turtle will get shut down at some point. I don't think it'll be like permanently shut down, but I do think there will be ramifications. There will be people that are going to get screwed by this lawsuit. There's no doubt about it. And I think that the servers will probably get temporarily shut down while they probably have to migrate the servers to Russia, because that's going to be the safest place they can move them to. And Torta is from Russia anyway, and the servers originally were in Russia, apparently, from what I heard. So yeah, I think they'll have to shut down, move them to Russia. Some of the people that are on the team probably are going to leave because they're probably going to get fucked by Blizzard, and they're probably not going to want to deal with getting sued again. So there's going to be people that probably are going to leave the team. I would imagine that the Turtle Wild team is going to take a pretty big hit, as far as the amount of people that are on the team might get reduced by a fair number. This is all just speculation, but I'm pretty sure that that will happen. I mean, they didn't draw up those legal documents without wanting to follow through and take some pretty serious action. So I would not want to be some of the people on Turtle Wild's team right now. I really wouldn't, because I do think that some pretty heavy shit's coming their way. Yeah, that does. He's the one from Georgia. I think he was from Georgia, right? Not Georgia. Was it Georgia? But he's in the U.S., right? Yeah, that totally sucks if that's the case, right? Yeah, anybody in the United States who's named, I believe they had some people that were named. Yeah, living in the U.S. and it was Michigan. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I mean he's in. The thing with if he is truly under 21, hopefully he's under 21 because that'll help a little bit. If he's under 18, that'll help even more, but he's probably not. The thing is, he's gonna have to get a lawyer. Um, yeah, he's gonna have to get a lawyer, and he's gonna settle. He's gonna settle. If they come after him, which they probably will, because they wouldn't have named him in the law. They're not gonna name you in the lawsuit if they're not coming after you. That's just the way lawsuits work. They wouldn't have gone to the trouble of naming a defendant if they weren't going to come after them. So they're definitely going to go after him. He's going to have to get a lawyer, and he's going to have to settle out of court because he is probably pretty young. Because he probably doesn't have previously probably has never been sued and probably hasn't broken any laws. He'll have some sort of a bargaining. He'll have some sort of a settlement with the plaintiff, where the fuck that may be, if it's Blizzard or Microsoft or whoever. And they'll agree upon some sort of package, and most likely what they're going to want is they're going to want to pump him for information. They're going to want to get as much information out of him as they can about the workings of Turtle WoW, like where the files are, everything they can get from him. That's the other thing is that's going to make things difficult for Turtle is that they're going to try to get as much information out of these people that they're trying to sue. So people that are in a situation where Blizzard's kind of got them in a corner, so to speak, one of their only ways of kind of getting out of the corner is going to be giving up information that Blizzard wants, which is going to make things even worse for Turtle WoW. So hopefully Turtle WoW has planned for this and they have contingencies in place, right? I'm sure they've already backed up all their data and stuff, but Blizzard also wants all the account information, all the code. They want everything. Like, they want all the code from Turtle WoW. They want Turtle WoW to wipe all their servers and delete all their data. But before they do all that, they of course want copies of it all, right? So that's going to give... If that happens, then Blizzard will have copies of all of our login accounts to Turtle WoW. And then if they find accounts that match, email addresses for Turtle WoW that match official Blizzard WoW accounts, they can permaban you, right? And they would be within their right to do so. I don't think they would do that. I think they'll only do that to people where they're trying to make a statement, a point, like maybe big streamers. Like, I could see that if they found Nixium's account That just out of spite, because he's done some advertisement videos for Turtle Isle, that they found his account and that they would ban him permanently from World of Warcraft. I think that would be just like as like a statement, like don't fuck with us. You know what I mean? So we don't know how long Turtle WoW is going to be around. And the worst part is, like, there's nothing, man. Like, the only MMO that's coming right now that... I mean, like, we've got... Ion 2 could be, like, halfway decent. Arcage Chronicles is not going to be an MMO. They've already said it's not going to be an MMO. I don't know. I think Ion 2 looks like it could be decent. Chrono Odyssey was delayed until next year, probably the end of next year. Which sucks, because I kind of liked... I liked the combat in Chrono Odyssey. It was fun. The game had a lot of issues, but combat wasn't one of them. What did I just loot? Recipe of... I've already got that. Elixir of Ogre Strength. I already have that one. I'm getting tired. Yeah, they're working on Guild Wars 3 supposedly, but I mean it's in the very early stage. Same thing with Terra. Same thing with Terra 2. So I'm very excited about Terra 2, and I'm very excited about Guild Wars, and Guild Wars 3 too as well. So, but both those games are in their infancy, from what I've heard. So it's gonna be a while before we get those. And I'm not getting any younger, guys. I'm old. I might not live long enough to see some of these games. I might not even live long. I mean, I hope I will, but. It's just the length it takes for them to put these games out is insane. Like they were saying Chrono Odyssey was going to be released at the end of this year, and now they're saying it's going to be delayed in probably an entire year, so it probably won't come out until the end of next year. Which again, I'm kind of fine with, but I'm kind of not. I mean, I'm fine if they make the game better, although a lot of the changes they make revolve around Care Bear players crying about, this is too difficult. So changes that I don't think need to be made at all. In fact, I'm really pissed they're making those changes, but whatever. How many of these blasted guys do I gotta kill to get to level 33? There's that pay to win, baby. Pay to win. Yeah, I wonder what Guild Wars 3 is going to be like, because Guild Wars 2 was so different than Guild Wars 1. I actually played Guild Wars 1 a little bit yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see where they're going to go with Guild Wars 3. I liked them both. I thought they both were good games. I think Guild Wars 2, where it really fell short for me, was that the PvP gear rewards were purely cosmetic. I'm not a big fan of like end game being cosmetics, you know, like Final Fantasy and Guild Wars 2. A lot of the end game in those games is revolves around just cosmetic, which is not really I'm not really a fan of that. Ugh. You mean like the level scaling? Hey, what's up, Miles? You mean like the level scaling in zones? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I am too. I don't like. I mean, to me, the way most MMOs are done a certain way, meaning that most MMOs either do level scaling or they do like World of Warcraft, where a zone is a specific level range. The way I would personally do it is just make zones not specific to a level range and just make them varied. Like just like how the real world would be varied. Like in Lord of the Rings, you could be walking down the road and run into a level 2 bandit, for example. But then you might find some weird cave off to the side of the road that goes up, like some sort of path that goes up in the mountains, and you find some sort of remote cave, and there happens to be a cave giant in that cave. Well, the cave giant could be like level 25. But the bandits on the road could be like level 2 or 3. That's what I like. I like it to be just random. Like every zone could have a very wide variety of levels of enemies. Don't make it just like, oh, this zone's like 15 to 20. I don't like that at all. So I keep yawning like over and over again. Oh my god. Let's see if I got any coffee left. I don't think I do. I just want to get to 33 here. Yeah, I'm falling asleep too, Lost. Falling asleep fast. Yeah. Was a long day. Any sleepy boys? I think there's a lot of sleepy boys in this chat. Just the one. The girl is an AI. The person who's singing this song is a fictional AI person called Sadie, right? Okay, so this video here is completely AI generated, and this music, the song we're listening to, is an AI generated song. And so this person is a fictitious character made by artificial intelligence, and her name is Sadie Winters. So I took this image here from this static image here, and I went into Midjourney, and I created videos. I created animations based on that, because Midjourney can do that. I just said animate. I gave it this image, said animate it, and this is what it came up with. Right now, I've tried some of the other tools. I've tried a couple different tools to animate and lip sync and like voice. Like sync the lips to the music. So I've given this other piece of AI software like some audio tracks and tried to have it lip sync. Like I'm tired. I'm sorry, I'm tired. And tried to have the lips sync to the audio track, but the software I used worked really poorly. So I'm not sure what software whoever made this used for this one here. But you can see her mouth is moving pretty good. It's syncing pretty well. AI is getting very good. It's getting crazy good. Yeah, I do too. I definitely, when I retire, that's my goal, right? T8000. Probably like in about 50 years or less. But that, it's funny that Kenny, what you're saying, and that's like I retire. I'm hoping to retire in about 10 years, and so I'm hoping that by then AI is going to be so good. And I'm a software developer, so I write code for a living. But I want to create my own MMO, like a video game slice of an MMO. So not like a complete MMO, obviously, but like some systems, like some combat, some interactions with NPCs. Hey, what's up? How you doing, J-Rock? And so obviously in 10 years from now, I'm assuming, I know that AI is going to be good enough and that the tools, Unreal Engine, whatever engine tool I would use at that time is going to be so good that I probably will be able to do it. You know what I mean? Think about now. Think about how much easier it is to develop a game as an individual now than it was, 20 years ago. Actually, they had that. Remember when WoW did like a reskin of Warcraft 3? I talked to one person who says that all they did was run a bunch of the WoW textures for Warcraft 3 into an AI program that dynamically generated all the new textures and like did all the work to like skin them or something. I don't know exactly what was all required, but apparently they just used like some sort of a tool in tandem with AI to do that. You know? Ooh, that was a crazy looking circle, wasn't it? They can do that now. They can do that now, actually. Yeah, it was very lazy of Blizzard to do. If that's what they did, it was very. That's why. Well, Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 Remastered was kind of a joke, wasn't it? It didn't go over well, so. There's already plenty of videos of people creating like old school games like, you know, Centipede or whatever using AI. So AI can already create a lot of stuff. But the thing is, AI's got, you know, AI, obviously there's a lot of, you have to be, like right now the way AI works is like if I ask AI to do some programming and some coding for me, you know, I have to have a very good knowledge of coding to be able to look at what it gives me to make sure that there's no errors because AI does make a lot of errors. And a lot of times the code that AI writes works, but it's not the best code. It's not optimal. And a lot of times that they bloat the code. Like there's a lot of extra pieces, lines of code that are there that really don't need to be there. So AI is very powerful and very good, but it's not there yet. You know what I mean? It's not. Eventually, it'll be like amazingly good. We won't even need computer programmers if it's one day because AI will just be so good. But right now, that we're not there yet. You could do, you know what's funny is you can do that. I mean, you can build the prompt to do stuff like that. You could say, I want you to create, you could actually do that where you could say, create a program to do this, this, and this, but then I want you to review your own program and I want you to search the web and see if there's ways that you can revise your own program and make it better, you know, and then give it the parameters for how you want to make it better. And then tell it to do it like 2 or 3 different passes on it. And it probably would do that, and it probably would come up with better code. So that's the funny part. I mean, AI is going to give you like, you know, like it's going to give you options. So like, I don't know if I still have it open. Do I still have ChatGPT open? Let's see. Hold on a second. So if I go into here, you know, write me. Hopefully AI can speed up the development of this photo remake. Are they doing? I didn't know. Are they doing a Star Wars: The Old Republic's remake? Oh, I'll have to check it out. That would be good. I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic was a good game, but it definitely had some areas that it needed improvement in. Actually, if you ask AI to create an MMO, you couldn't really have AI create an MMO like very successfully, obviously, because there's just too much to it. But you could And I have done it before. You can't have an AI basically give you the steps or give you like kind of an outline, like a skeleton of like a development plan of what you're going to address in your MMO, right? So I just asked it right here to say, write me a program to create the video game Asteroids in C# after you are done, analyze the code and try to improve it. So it created this code to create Asteroids. Well, it's still doing it actually. So we'll see if it does then do a code review of its own code and see if it actually comes up with any changes, which would be interesting since it just came up with the code, right? It's like, why are you changing the code that you just wrote? But it's weird that way. ChatGPT is weird that way. It's not going to give you, like, if you ask it the same thing 10 times, like if you put a prompt into ChatGPT and then you put the same prompt into ChatGPT again, you won't get the same results. It's weird. Ask it how to fix Blizzard. Yeah, it would be interesting what it said. We could ask it that. Yeah, it'll keep changing the answer. You have to really give it parameters or give it expectations. Like, and you're best if you give it examples. If you say, I want you to do this or this, but you have to really give it parameters to kind of narrow down what you're looking for. And then when it gives you a response, ask it to give you multiple responses. Like if you're trying to get it to do a certain thing, like a certain piece of code or something, you say, give me like 3 or 4 different variations of that. And then you can kind of, and by looking at the different variations, especially if as long as you're a programmer, you understand code, then you can kind of see through some of the bullshit that it creates. But so it came up with this code, right? Now it's wrote this code, and now it's actually preparing a code patch. So, which is interesting. So here's the code for Asteroids. And now it says analyzing code, and now it's analyzing its own code and proposing improvements to its own code that it just wrote. I built you a complete no dependency C# WinForms Asteroids game. You'll find the full source in the canvas titled Asteroids. So it's not really here code review. Here's a self critique. Here's what I would improve next time. So here now is critiquing itself. Use a fixed timestamp. So it's basically just going through, and it didn't do a lot of changes because. So anyway, it's just interesting. So caffeine well. Oh, how do you spell suing? Sue. How do you spell suing? I don't know how to spell suing. It's not it, without the E. It's not a word I write very often. There's no suing. So, can you tell me how you would fix Blizzard Entertainment with regards to their own IP, World of Warcraft? Specifically, World of Warcraft no longer resembles the game it once was. Back in 2004, and private servers have been created to help relive the original vision of the game. Blizzard is now suing one of these private servers, but it seems motivated purely by greed. How would you fix Blizzard as a company so it could regain the faith of its player base? For some reason, I wanted to put the letter E in suing. I don't know why. Oh my goodness. How long do I think Turtle Wow has? I think there's going to be some changes around Turtle Wow within the next, I don't know, 3 months maybe? Oh man, that's gonna be a kind of a weird question, Bus, because that's a thoughtful and honestly very common concern among longtime players. Blizzard's stewardship of World of Warcraft has gone through phases. What began as a relatively grounded, community-driven game shifted into a more convenience and monetization-oriented game. Private servers exist largely because many players feel that Blizzard abandoned their original social friction plus world immersion design that made WoW special. Here's how I would approach fixing Blizzard and WoW if the goal is regaining trust and recapturing that identity. Cultural reset of Blizzard. Reestablish a player-first philosophy. Shift the corporate narrative from MAU growth and store amounts to long-term player trust. This requires executives explicitly valuing authenticity over quarterly boosts, transparency, publish real development philosophies, community letters, and player council insights in a way that isn't PR filtered. Leadership accountability. Many fans feel that Blizzard became Activisionified. Empower creative leads again, instead of only financial strategists. Respect the legacy of WoW. Permanent Classic Plus branch. Look at this. Create a permanent Classic Plus branch. Instead of just releasing static Classic eras, create an officially supported Classic Plus that develops the 2004-2006 design philosophy forward without retail conveniences. Let retail be retail. Accept the retail and classic appeal to two different audiences. Don't force homogenization. Official private server-like experiences. Stop suing nostalgia servers and instead learn from them. Many innovate in ways Blizzard hasn't dared. I need to send this whole response to Blizzard. I'm going to how do we email Blizzard Entertainment, right? Let's email. How can I email Mike? No, who's the guy? Chris, who's the people? Email Blizzard. How do I email Blizzard? Come on, guys. I just want to email Blizzard. Who are they? Let's see. What is the guy that just came? Chris Metzen. How about if we email Chris Metzen? Chris Metzen email address. Okay, here we go. Let us email Chris Metzen. Compose new email to Super Soldier. We're going to send it to both his email addresses here. And Chris Metzen at Blizzard. And I'm going to title the email. We're going to call it Concerns about Blizzard as a Company. And then we're going to say, I asked ChatGPT as a joke, really, for my streamer audience, but the response was poignant, and I wanted you to read it. Chris, please enjoy. From a long-time player of WoW since 2004. Beta on Doomhammer. And let's go back to close all of it. We need a copy link. I wonder if this link really works. Okay, let's go ahead and make this an actual link. Whoops. Let's see. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We don't want to die. Email sent. So hypothetically, if Blizzard does release Classic Plus, would you like to see some of the systems they introduced during Season Discovery, like Rogue Tank? Okay, I'm going to say something that probably contradicts something I said already today. Actually, I know it does contradict something I already said today. I said earlier today that I would never play a Blizzard server again, right? That's a big fat lie. And the reason that's a big fat lie is there's a thing that we all know of called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. But there's also the fact that we don't really have any good MMOs out there right now to play, really, to be honest. If we want to be honest, how many MMOs are out there right now that aren't like old MMOs that have been around for years and years and years. So I don't know what Gladiator Stance is. Can we get up here? No. But so what I'm saying is, if Blizzard did release a Classic Plus, I for sure would probably want to try it if it looked good on paper. If they said, I would know that it's going to be bad because of the RMT, because of how Blizzard runs their servers. They don't manage their servers. They allow RMTP, RMT transactions. They allow bots. They allow boosting. They allow GDKP. They allow all kinds of nonsense going on their servers, and they don't police their servers. So from that point of view, I think any server Blizzard would release that would be a Classic Plus server is pretty much dead on arrival. But having said that, if they did release one and they did somehow try to fix those issues, if they did fix those problems and they did police and did put active GMs that's all their job was to ban people for doing those things, and they did clean up their servers and create a server that was kind of that was kind of turtle-like in that there wasn't that type of nonsense going on. If they could keep that stuff out of the game, then I would have to revisit the server and say, hey, maybe I do want to play here. So, they could create a server that I would want to play. Now, to get back to your question, if Blizzard does release Classic Plus, would I like to see some of the systems they introduced during season? I didn't play Season of Discovery a lot. I played Season of Discovery for about a few months, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was kind of crap. I thought their balancing was really shitty. I thought the PvP event was absolutely disgustingly bad. As far as Rogue Tank, I'm not a fan of the homogenization of classes. I don't think rogues really should be tanking. I think making certain classes have specializations that allow them to perform kind of a pseudo role is cool. Like for example, like I play in Vanilla WoW, like I play like a survival like melee hunter, and that character was definitely 100% able to off tank. Like I could go into like LBRS or UBRS, and I could easily with my pet manage two, if not three mobs by myself. So I could perform the role of an off tank actually, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I would not be opposed to the rogues being able to equip the buckler, which is what they originally were intended to equip in the Friends and Family 0.53 WoW client from back in 2003. So I wouldn't be opposed to them rolling out Rogue with some sort of a skill tree that supported kind of an evasion off tank role, but I certainly wouldn't want rogues to be a main tank, and I don't support rogues being a main tank. I don't think that's really a good idea. I'm a big fan of class identity, and to me, rogues are at their basis level a DPS class, and I think they should remain a DPS class. But I wouldn't be opposed to them being like able to, in certain situations, off tank or even main tank temporarily at a short turn. Like for example, the main tank in a group dies, you're on the final boss, and the rogue jumps in and starts popping all his cooldowns to basically kind of tank the boss for the final maybe minute or two. And he's able to do that because he's able to use his cooldowns to kind of evasion tank, but he wouldn't be able to do that consistently throughout a dungeon just simply because his cooldowns just wouldn't be up enough. They'd be on too many of his abilities would be on cooldown too long for it to make him an effective tank. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, as far as like mage healer, I'm not really a fan of that at all. I think, again, I'm a fan of class identity, and I think that healers should heal and DPS classes should DPS. But having said that, I'm a big fan of in fact, my favorite talent system of all time is Rift. And in Rift, almost every class has the ability to slot 3 talent trees in, right? And they get to choose from a lot of different things. So in Rift, almost every class can DPS, heal, and tank, pretty much. So if you have the right type of talent tree system, I wouldn't be as opposed to certain classes being able to tank, but I think it has to be the right type of system, and I think World of Warcraft really isn't set up that way. To me, World of Warcraft is set up to be a Holy Trinity type system. So if you wanted to go down the road of letting certain classes, like they did in Season Discovery, like saying like a mage is going to heal, and to me, that goes kind of away from the original design of the game, and I don't really like that. But if the game was built from the ground up to be that way, like Rift was, then I think it's fine. If you go to the Rift, soul tree, right? The soul tree calculated in Rift, no matter what class you pick, like if you pick a mage, for example, there might be, and I don't know, I don't really play mage, but there's a defensive soul, there's an offensive soul, and there's a healing soul. The Chloromancer is a healing specialist, so you can 100% say, I want the healing soul here, and I want some DPS here, maybe I want like some support. Like here's a defensive soul that you can sell on the front line. So now I can have a mage that's a tank, and he also can heal. You know what I mean? So again, I think that's really cool if the game is built that way from the beginning. But since WoW wasn't really originally created that way, then I'm not really a fan of adding that into the game because I just think it feels wrong. But again, like I wouldn't want the rogue tank to take away. Does this guy just flag PvP? I think he felt like he was. I wouldn't want the rogue tank to take away the primary tanking role of other tanks. So again, having a rogue as maybe an off tank, I wouldn't bother me too much, but having them as like a main tank, I wouldn't be a fan of. Did we click that link? Let me go back to that email I sent. I don't think I did click the link. Okay, the super soldier got returned, so that email doesn't exist. But the email sent to Chris Metzen at Blizzard did not get returns, so we can assume that that probably is a valid email. Yeah, I think more options is fine, but again, I think the main tank should be. I think having other classes be able to perform their role is fine, but I don't think they should be the best at it. I don't think a rogue tank should ever be better than a warrior tank. You know, because again, that really falls under the class identity. So. I think the problem is if you start making other classes good at tanking, then you kind of invalidate tanks in general. Like if you make like a rogue really good at tanking, then people who normally play a warrior tank may not want to play a warrior tank anymore because the trendy thing will be for everybody to be playing rogue tanks. And the people who originally felt connected and kind of linked with the protection warrior, like they felt like they had an identity with that class, you're going to feel like their identity's kind of been fragmented or lost to a certain degree. So you start to take you start to take away from class identity. You want what you want on a game like World of Warcraft where there is a Holy Trinity is you want people to have class identity, meaning that like on a server where there's two factions like Horde and Alliance, people would come to know if you're like a really good protection warrior and you're tanking dungeons for people, you're going to develop a really good name on the server as, hey, people are like, oh my god, that's old Bus. He's a really good tank. I want him to tank all my dungeons. But if you start adding a lot of other classes that can tank, then yeah, for sure there might be more tanks around, but you kind of lose that thing of saying, oh, old Bus is a really cool tank on the server, and we really want him in our group. You know, you start to take away you start to devalue the tank as a whole a little bit, just by kind of almost like diluting it, you know? So yeah, I'm just not really a fan of that. Alright, we finally hit level 33. And I need to get to bed, so let's get out of here. How many eggs did we get? A lot. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. So well over 100 different eggs. So
Open for business.
now did I... There it is. Auction successful. Oh yeah, we made 2 silver. Here's the shield I bought for 2 gold. I think 2 or 3 gold. Oh, 3 gold. So we got our new shield. Somebody was selling it for 2 gold, and I tried to buy it for 2 gold, but then when I went to buy it, it said it wasn't there anymore, so I just missed purchasing it. But this is a pretty good upgrade. It's got 8 strength, 4 agility, 5 stamina. So we're going to get 8 strength, 4 agility. We'll lose 2 stamina. We're going to lose the percent block, but we're going to get 14. Or we're going to get 19 block over 14. So it's a nice upgrade. So we'll grab that. And then we'll have to cook all of our eggs up so we can sell them and make some money. And I'm sure we got quite a bit of leather that we can probably sell. We got a large brown sack that we can sell. Anyways, oh, we got another talent point too. So let's put our talent point into, of course, Reckoning. We only have 3 more levels to go, I think. Oh no, it's got to be 30. Shit. Alright, well, we're going to put 2 points into Reckoning. And I guess we're gonna have to go Righteous Strikes because I don't really see anything else in here that I really want. Unless I wanted to go towards Righteous Defense, but I don't want to waste all the 10 points into Righteous Fury just to get that. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. But anyways, I got to get to bed, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a good night, and we'll pick up maybe tomorrow. Try to get the Paladin up there. I really need to get her up there to where she can get that capstone, the bottom talent, the shield bash, because it's a new ability. I really want to try it out, but apparently I need to get 6 more levels under me before I can get it. You make an AI clone of yourself to entertain. Miles, an AI clone, right? I'll work on that. I'll work on the AI clone. We will have to work on the AI clone. Oh my god, I'm yawning. All right, I'll catch you guys later, man. Peace out. Hope everybody has a good night and day wherever you are. Peace out.